Guys, what is going on? What am I doing? I'm going there. This is the Wednesday show. We're going to be probably joined by Mike in a little bit here. He's was a little bit busy today, so he was like, "Hey, I'm going to try to call in." So he was going to hang out. We're going to use that my face there. So if he joins, great. If not, totally okay as well. Just want to say what's going on. We got Mario G in the house. Greg Tracy's here. A couple other people are going to be trickling in. We're going to use this as like almost like an empty backfield day where I can just talk to you guys, talk to about that JJ Watt situation. That's kind of the big news going on right now. And then kind of talk about some of the other things that we have going on here in the NFL. There's a crazy week. Vincent Jackson died randomly. I have no idea why. We've got not a whole. I mean, the big news really this week was JJ. I don't know. I want to know your guys' thoughts first because I have a couple concerns with JJ, but also I am completely aware that he improves our defensive line and the rushing attack, and putting him next to Myles Garrett in a healthy situation, a healthy and motivated JJ Watt is, I mean, that's a fantastic thing. Brian, love JJ, but I don't think he can stay healthy for a full season. It's a big gamble. Well, he did stay healthy last year, so that was one of the. He wasn't very productive, but he stayed healthy. Last couple of years before that, he hasn't really been dominant since 2018, from what I can tell statistically. Did not have a big year last year. The team was pretty bad. Not to say that that's his fault, but I mean he really didn't make that big of an impact. And I think that when you don't have a Jadeveon Clowney on the other side, when you just got you got to deal with JJ, then you can you can scheme around that. You can double team. Look at there was a stat that went out there and it showed the most double team players. It was Myles Garrett, I think TJ, Aaron Donald, and JJ Watt. So you cannot double team both those guys. There's not enough guys in the field unless you're going to severely hamstring yourself from an offensive standpoint by having double tight ends the entire time, and it's just craziness. So you can't do that. It's a matchup nightmare. And if we invested that much money in Myles Garrett, why would we not invest in another dominant guy on the other side, right? And even if he's not JJ Watt from 2018, he's still JJ Watt, and he still commands the respect and he can still play, right? So I think we give him 2 years, maybe three, and like might have to give him that third year just for like just to get him to come, you know, because I think that's going to be one of the challenges there is somebody's going to overpay for him. It's not that I don't want to overpay for him, but I could really care less about the salary cap. We talk about salary cap all the damn time with this team, and I'm over it. I don't care. Spend the money. Now's the time. We made it to the divisional round of the playoffs and played this ex Super Bowl champions very, very tough. I think we would have lost to Tampa Bay in Tampa, right? So I think we would have lost the Super Bowl no matter what because they were a superior team and they were completely healthy. And, you know, our number one offensive weapon from a wide receiver standpoint, Odell, was hurt. So the problem is right now, Colin Coward, was talking about it, and he was like, why would he want to go to the Browns? The Browns had a negative point differential, and I'm like, that's why you go to the Browns, because you have a team that made it this far into the playoffs, right? With a negative point differential. Imagine if you had a good defense, right? And you sign JJ Watt. All it costs you is money. Doesn't cost you anything other than that. We don't have to trade any assets away from it for it. We can still go out and get draft somebody. We can still put our draft capital towards other positions of need like cornerback and linebacker and safety. Miles, Greg Trace says Miles will eat up all the double teams. JJ will feast in Cleveland. That could be. I mean, so that's the dream situation, Greg. Right? That's the dream. And if I'm JJ Watt, and if you and I know that, and then the Browns know that, then you know that JJ knows that. And he also wants to prove that he's got some gas left in the tank. You put him on the other side. I mean, he fed like crazy when he was, on that defense with Jadeveon Clowney. You put him on the defense with Myles Garrett, the most dominant defensive end really in this generation. I mean, if I'm JJ Watt, I'm going, that opens up a lot of opportunities for me. Ryan Burlow, that's how this defense will thrive. Pressure only rushing four. I mean, what you know, just what a luxury that would be to only have to rush four. We still do have some question marks at the linebacker spot. We still do have some question marks around the middle of the field, but it's really exciting to think about not having to have a quarterback just run wild and just sit back there for days because he knows he's going to have JJ on one side or Miles on the other. That would scare me to death. If I'm an opposing quarterback and an opposing offensive coordinator, how do you have to deal with that? That is a scary, scary situation. So, yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to get too excited about it because we've had some guys that have said they wanted to come to Cleveland and didn't end up coming there, right? It depends on how much money we're going to throw at him. If we were willing to throw the whole bag at Jadeveon last year, you'd think that we've got some money that we're going to spend this year on JJ's. You'd think so, but we'll see. Big Ben might retire if we get JJ. Yeah, I mean, how interesting, Greg, was that their GM was like, as of right now, Ben Roethlisberger is a member of the Steelers. We don't know where he's going to be. I mean, that wasn't a positive sign. Somebody pointed out, I think it was maybe Cameron Justice pointed out that the same thing the Rams GM said about Jared Goff, like he's a member of the team right now, right? So I don't think the Steelers are making it really warm and fuzzy for Ben to come back. But, on the other side of things, is this team going, how much better, or would this team at all be better just handing it off to Dwayne Haskins right now? Right? Do they think that they got a steal with that? Now, I would say yes. If the NFL thought that Dwayne Haskins was a first round talent, he plays like 2 years and then gets cut. And again, yeah, he made some knucklehead moves and decisions, but that whole franchise, I don't think that there's a worse franchise, maybe in professional sports, than the Washington football team. Yeah, I would challenge everybody in chat right now. If you could come up with a worse professional franchise than the Washington football team, I'd like to know what it is. Maybe the Texans right now, but the Texans at least don't have a 20-plus year history of just being a disaster front office wise. But the Washington football team, they've just consistently over the last 20 years just messed it up from the front office. They don't draft particularly well, although Chase Young, I mean, you can't miss with them. Yeah, the Jets you could probably say are up there. I mean, you could say the Browns are up there too, but we've definitely turned the page on that. The Jags have the Jags have been kind of ugly, but the Jags were smart this year. They're like, we're gonna suck. That's fine. We want to get Trevor Lawrence. I mean, if you're the Jags and you're playing in Florida, where you're gonna have fans, you're gonna have good weather. You got the first overall pick, so you're gonna be able to grab your quarterback. You can go out and get an Urban Meyer, a big name guy that you can go and attract to be the new head of the team. This is that's a good situation to be with the first pick versus the Jets, who don't have that first pick. So I think the Jags were smart. They were Super Bowl contenders and they dropped like crazy. Yeah, they were. But you know what? Sometimes windows in the NFL come and go really quickly. Look at the Rams. I feel like the Rams window came and went. I feel like the 49ers window came and went. You've got your perennial teams, like, any team that Tom Brady's on is going to be a perennial Super Bowl contender. But then then you got a bunch of teams that kind of creep up there, and you're like, wait, what? How are they there? And they just weren't able to stick around very long. Baltimore was kind of an interesting team like that. Like Baltimore sneaks their way into the Super Bowl every once in a while. But yes, but anyway, going back to the Steelers situation, thinking about Dwayne Haskins, if I'm the Steelers, I'm probably looking at that going, hey, he's younger, he's more athletic, he's got probably, I mean, no doubt about it, more upside at this point. We have to eventually transition away from Ben anyway. Ben's not getting any younger. He doesn't take care of himself like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and Drew Brees. He's just, he's injured a lot. And then, what happened this season was exactly what it was. If the NFL played 10 games and that was the whole season, the Steelers might have contended for the Super Bowl. But if you look at it, they go 11 and 0, and then they collapse at the end. And I think they just ran out of gas. It's kind of like, you start off strong, you can get away with things for a while, but then when those injuries pile up, which hadn't historically happened for the Steelers, right? Who was the team that got the injuries? Us, the Bengals. Teams that were trying to get over the hump would always get hit with those big injuries. And we got hit with all of them. This year we lost Nick Chubb, we lost Myles Garrett, we lost Odell Beckham, we lost Denzel Ward, we lost, the guys in the beginning of the season, Greedy Williams and Grant Delpit. Ronnie Harrison was out every once in a while. Olivier Vernon we lost in the playoffs. I mean, we just lost everybody, right? So, I think if it comes down to a Super Bowl type year, guys, we need to have all of our weapons. Teller, yep, Wyatt Teller went down. We lost all of our guys at some point, and I think to win the Super Bowl, to be a Super Bowl contending team, you have to have all the stars align. You're not going to get to the Super Bowl and then win it with some of your top players injured. And I've seen it in the past happen. Mike Muffler, I think JJ is really coming to Cleveland. LOL. We need the help in that spot anyway. Would be nice. Yep. He may be. If we're willing to pay him. If we're willing to pay him, I think it could make sense for him and probably for 1 or 2 years for us. Ryan Burlow, Ben's arm was done. Might play 1 or 2 more years if that. I think if Ben's going to play, Ben's under contract. He doesn't have to retire. He retires, he leaves a lot of money on the table. And you know what? Pittsburgh offered him the contract. He signed it. So he has every right to come back and try to win that job again. So who knows? Greg Tracy says, do you think the Browns Super Bowl window stays open longer with signing JJ? We can use more picks on younger players that will benefit that kind of leadership. Absolutely. I mean, it's just it's kind of a no-brainer for us. The guy's super passionate, dedicated, keeps himself in good shape. Yes, he's been injured, but every player kind of gets injured. It's not really that big a deal. But he played every game last year for a bad team. You could tell he's got all that drive and energy and passion. He wants to be on a winner. And I think we give him a realistic chance. If he goes to Tampa Bay, does he realistically have a chance? Sure. And or in Green Bay, do you have a chance? Sure. But you come to Cleveland, you've got a passionate fan base, you've got a defense that needs some extra talent, and you're playing on the other end of the defensive line from the most, or if not one of the most dominant players in the league right now. It's a no-brainer for him. And we're going to pay him a lot of money. We're going to give him that last paycheck. So I don't know if it necessarily the window stays open longer. The window all comes down to how long it takes for us to pay Baker and probably Nick Chubb. And Baker, we're gonna have to pick up his 5th-year option, and then after that we're gonna have to pay him. And then window shut, because you can't go out and get those other big free agents like your JJ Watt. But we could do it this year. We might be able to do it next year too, depending on how we structure it. All right. We literally lost our whole team. Right. Exactly. Mike Muffler, if guys can stay healthy, that's key. It really always is. As long as he doesn't break our bank. I don't really think he can break the bank. We have some of the most cap space. We have to eventually spend it. I mean, if we want to win a Super Bowl, I don't care if we're paying the luxury tax. Just win a Super Bowl, right? This is why we have cap space, right? The cap space is to go out and make a splash and get these guys. Plus, I do think Jarvis and OBJ may be willing to restructure and open up even more. I don't think they're going to take a pay cut, but they might restructure to change how the money comes in. We need defensive line pressure. That's how Tampa beat the Chiefs. Yep. Well, keep in mind though, the Chiefs didn't have two of their starting offensive linemen, right? But you're right. I mean, if we can get that kind of pressure on anybody, we beat the football team with Dwayne Haskins, and you can tell you put pressure on Dwayne Haskins, he's going to make some knucklehead passes. Same thing with Ben Roethlisberger. Eventually, Ben Roethlisberger is going to make knucklehead passes. This year, we finally capitalized on our potential. Yes, Mike, I agree, man. It was such an amazing year, and I think we are now into a time period within the Browns fanhood that's just going to be fun. Ryan, he plays his bros twice a year. Yeah, and that'll be fun too. I mean, although it's kind of interesting, it kind of sucks that he would have to do that, but it's not like he's ever played with them anyway. It's not like he's like, hey, it's not like he's leaving the Steelers and coming to us. Like it's just another team. We could have one of the nastiest D lines in the league. Yes, I agree, Mike. I totally agree. Cleveland would start a GoFundMe for JJ if our cap is back. Probably would. Build inside out. Yep. So yeah, I mean, we're looking right now at a very interesting time where we don't have major holes to fill that we can't fill like easily. Like if you have a situation where you have a bad quarterback like we've had for so long, I mean, you have to have stability there. And also the coaches. One of the things I was thinking about with Baker Mayfield too, like how mismanaged he was with Todd Haley, Freddie Kitchens, Todd Monken, right? All those offensive coordinators that he had were so bad. And then you bring in Kevin Stefanski, who's like, we're just gonna do what and Kevin, it got off a little bit rocky in the beginning with Baker, but then at the end, he's like the last couple of games, he scored through 20 touchdowns through two interceptions, right? He got away with a couple of them too, but I will say, Baker and Kevin Stefanski really gelled correctly, and finally we have stability at that quarterback position. Now we have the luxury of going out and finding your JJ Watt, your pieces, right? Spend the money on those pieces that are going to get you to that championship, and just pray that everybody stays healthy, because we definitely have the talent, guys. It's just that we were exposed at the end there against the Chiefs that we're not gonna be able to beat a really good offense, even with Chad Henne at the end. We couldn't stop Chad Henne to get to the AFC Championship game, and that should tell you something. Yes, good year. Hope good years to come. Yep. Thoughts on Von Miller? I think Von Miller's got some personal baggage too. But again, if you're bringing in JJ and you bring in JJ and Von Miller, I mean, now you've got superstars everywhere. And I think the scary thing with that, too many named players on defense is not always a great thing. So I don't know. I'd have to look at Von Miller's, like what his productions look like over the last couple of years. I know he's been injured as well. So, but both JJ and Von Miller, their best years are behind them. So we're just hoping that we can get like a Malcolm Smith type, pretty decent year out of these guys. But I don't know. Von Miller would definitely be an upgraded linebacker, right? But he might be a guy that we have to overpay for, right? Yes, he was mismanaged. It would be dope if we get him and Von. It would be borderline ridiculous if we got JJ Watt and Von Miller. New York, but they would have to both go, okay, I'm going to a team and I need to make some plays so we win games. That's why they have to go there. And I think that would be their motivation. New York Knicks, in terms of big market access, dollar for dollar, season for season, the worst bang for your buck, sports entertainment, buck and pro sports. One playoff appearance in 20 years. The Knicks have been pretty bad too. I would put them up there. He was hurt last year. They beat years. The best years are behind him. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like we don't want to invest heavily in guys that are like this is their last hurrah, unless we know for damn sure that we're going to get the production out of them, because you don't want to spend that kind of money on like a Von Miller and then not have it left over for Nick Chubb, right? So we got to protect that a little bit, but I think there's some better role players out there that we could pay than bringing in necessarily the name Von Miller. Oh, yeah. Tired. No, Njoku was gonna be on the chopping block, and he turned out to be a top blocking tight end this year. That was amazing. Yeah, I mean, I will say he stepped up, and no hard feelings on David. We were kind of all. I was kind of like chirping at him, not chirping at him a lot, but a little bit, because when he was like, hey, when he was requesting a trade, I didn't want him to request a trade. I wanted him to go out there and be another piece for us. I don't think David Njoku is going to be any more than a 50 reception tight end. That's going to be like David Njoku's best year is like 50 catches, maybe 50 catches, 5 touchdowns. That's David Njoku for you. I bet my house on a Super Bowl if that happened. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I bet my house on any Super Bowl yet, but I understand the excitement there, Greg. 17 Squabble Lane. The Knicks awful, arrogant fans. Also the most insufferably entitled posers in the NBA. The last NBA title was 1973. Yeah, you know what the Knicks is when you have a guy like LeBron and he chooses to go to LA over New York, you know, guy could go anywhere he wants and doesn't go to New York City twice. Could have gone there when he was with the Heat. Could have gone there when he left Cleveland again. Dude couldn't catch a cold or block for forever. David Njoku can make really, really athletic catches, but it's the ones that he drops, the easy ones that really I think upset a lot of fans. But and I don't know about the blocking. I don't really watch blocking that much. Bring back Barkevius Mingo. Oh my God. Talk about bust over bust. Cameron Wembley. Remember that guy? Saw him on that Ninja Challenge TV show. Cameron Wembley. Just bad after bad after bad. And but now it feels real good. It feels good to be turning a little bit. It's like is the Knicks like the Dallas Cowboys? I'd say Dallas is a better organization. Dallas has had some teams. They've had some chances. And Jerry Jones he's trying to make him competitive. I think the Knicks they're a PR disaster. They're just it's not a good look. But they play in Madison Square Garden, and playing in the Garden, it's it's like basketball. It's basketball royalty, in a lot of ways. So even Jordan said he's like, that's where you go. That's where you go to play basketball is Madison Square Garden, right? So, had high hopes for Mingo. Yeah, we've had so many busts or career-ending injuries. Justin Gilbert. Justin Gilbert. Why does that name sound familiar? Is that the defensive end? Yeah, the defensive end guy. No, the cornerback, defensive back, I should say. That dude was a bust. What a terrible. That was Mike Pettin years, I think. What a piece of crap that dude was. Yeah, that was like this. I think I want to say the same year Johnny Manziel was drafted was Gilbert. I could be wrong there. I could be wrong. Greg Little Greg Stonehands. Greg Little he was like one of the most productive wide receivers in like college football history. And he gets to the pros and he's just basically couldn't do much. Can you weigh in on Andre Drummond protesting the Cavs and Kevin Love's paper mache anatomy? I don't really. At this point, I think Andre Drummond would be better off served as like doing stuff like being an activist. I think that's what he likes to do. I think he communicates so clearly what his perspective on life and everything is, and you know his another guy's best years are in his past. So I don't know. I'm not really that close of a basketball fan to really weigh in a whole lot more than that. Kevin Love sucks that he can't stay healthy. But I mean, the reality is the Cavs still need a lot more pieces. But if you had him and Kevin Love in there with, you know, with Sexton and, you know, I think they're a playoff team at least. Oh yeah, Greg Little, steel hands. Hey Mike, how long has it been since you could actually talk about the Browns going to the Super Bowl without getting laughed out of the room? Man, I mean, not even in the '90s when we beat the Patriots in the playoffs with the Bill Parcells Patriots, because I don't think anybody really considered us a Super Bowl contender in the mid early '90s. I mean, the Cowboys and the Cowboys and the Bills and the 49ers were so good in the early mid '90s that I don't think we would have been considered a playoff contender with Vinny Testaverde and that Browns team. So you probably have Super Bowl contender, maybe 86, 87, the drive, the fumble years. Long, long time. I actually was watching, I was doing a project for work where I had to, like, I'm kind of making like a video that's sort of like the old NFL primetime, with Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. And I was looking for inspiration. So I went back and I watched like some of them that were on YouTube. And man, I mean, that 94 team was good. And I don't know. It's so sad that the team left. But then again, like, how many more years could Municipal Stadium really hold on? How many more, like, it sucks that the Browns left, but like Art Modell was so bad. And it was just bad. Would we have held on to Belichick too? Belichick he might have been fired too anyway after that season. I take the Browns Super Bowl every morning with my coffee. Feels great. I would agree. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think we got like two more months, a little over 2 months to the draft. It'll be interesting if we move up and do anything in the draft. But right now we have the luxury, right? If you're drafting in the late 20s, you've got a good team. So now you just got to go out there and best player available that's not a running back, wide receiver, quarterback, or tight end. Even offensive line is pretty darn good. I'd like to see us draft a couple more offensive linemen though, just for depth, right? But high round draft. Our first 3 rounds this year in the draft should be in any particular order: cornerback, safety, linebacker, and then defensive line. And probably going to want to go nose tackle and also an edge, right? So, and those guys have the ability. If you get drafted that high, you have not the expectation, but you have the ability to start. Max Nikolenko, what's going on, man? So our first 3 rounds, we have to go defense, 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 and have them be starting caliber players. And that's going to be tough because we're going to have to take rookies into the playoffs, and we're going to have to ask rookies to help us win a Super Bowl. If we don't go out there and get a guy like a J.J. Watt, right? The more I think about the J.J. Watt situation, the more I like it. He's going to be 32 years old. He hasn't dominated since 2018, so we're going on, 3 years. He has been unhealthy, right? And so there's some cons, but the pros, you don't have to spend as much time with defensive end. We could potentially bring back Olivier and have Olivier be in there and just work in for depth. Imagine Olivier Vernon and JJ Watt. I mean, the other situation that we should probably think about is what's Miles' lung situation. From what we hear about COVID, there could be some long-lasting lung-related breathing issues that who knows if Myles Garrett's going to be the Myles Garrett we saw earlier this season pre-COVID, right? So we might want to add in more depth to that defensive line, especially on the defensive end side, just to give Myles more breathers going in and out of play, so he doesn't have to be out there, killing himself. So I do like JJ. The good thing about JJ is when he's healthy, that dude plays. He doesn't come off the field. So he is a baller out there. All defense, maybe some long depth in case of injuries. Mike, I agree with you 100%. Gutta, it would be nice if we could somehow get Devin White. That would be great, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get up that high. I like our front office, good vibes with them drafting. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I don't know if they really did too much last year with the draft. So ultimately, there's going to be, we don't have to strike gold, but we got to at least strike silver, right? Mike, you do empty formation or only on Twitch? No, I haven't been doing empty formation because there hasn't been as much to talk about postseason. But I will be doing empty backfield. Yeah, I will be doing empty backfield. Definitely during the football season. And although Mike should be, he was just really busy today, so this isn't technically empty backfield, but we're treating it like that. Imagine Chase Young on our, yeah. I mean, that would be ridiculous. That would be absolutely insane if we had Chase Young and Myles Garrett. I got a lung for him. True, you think Myles lingering, perhaps lasting damage from COVID? He could. Right? That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's very possible. Devin White type of player in the draft, or a Devin White type player in the draft. Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. The thing is, we need to have guys that have the ability to step up and be impact players day one. We need guys that don't require any settling period or learning curve. We need guys that can just step up and be ballers. Defensive line is kind of one of those positions where you can do that because it's a bruising type position. Linebacker and defensive back, rookie linebackers and rookie defensive backs, they get beat. I mean, it's easy to scheme around those guys. So I don't know if Bud Dupree, man, that would be great, right? Sign Watt and pursue. How great would that be, getting Bud Dupree? And he looks healthy too. I've seen some of his videos where he's rehabbing. He looks good. But there's no signs that would say that he wants to leave Pittsburgh, so I wouldn't get my hopes up for Bud Dupree. Tight ends have sucked so bad that I'd start Lyman in Madden. Kendall Lamb is a real one. Man, Kendall Lamb, the eligible receiver, is probably better than Kendall Lamb, the offensive lineman. I mean, and how funny was it? We'd have an offensive lineman go down, and then Kendall Lamb would come in, play 2 plays, and then he would get injured. And then we have to go to like our real depth rookies, like Nick Harris out there. Watta's always injured. Why would we want him? I don't know if he's always injured. He has been injured more lately, but he did play. He played the entire season this last year. So, if you're going to change that narrative, playing all 16 games, if I'm JJ Watt, being like, yeah, I've been injured in the past, but I played all 16 games last year. I stayed on the field. Gutta, yeah, that's what we need. Not the Mac Wilson. Shaking my head. Yeah, rookie linebackers be getting cooked. Exactly. Look how long it took Taki to step up, and I think Taki's got the ability, right? So he now has to step up and come to the table with those, bringing those interceptions to the house. Man, I mean, that's legendary stuff in Cleveland. You do that, we'll love you forever. Pitt has to find cap space to re-sign him, so I wouldn't count it out of the realm of possibility. Yeah, you're right. I thought I heard something, and I'm not like a cap expert, but I thought I heard something that Pittsburgh was like really, like maybe they were in luxury tax mode. Like they were up there pretty high. Somebody keep me honest on that, Derek. Appreciate that comment though. That's why I think they want to get out of the Ben Roethlisberger situation. If Ben just retires, he relieves them of all that. They don't take the cap hit, right? So, but I don't think Ben's going to do that. Ryan says Taki Taki got a little better around the ball. He did, right? And that's cool. And he's a really nice guy too. I like Taki Taki. I think Mac Wilson still needs a little bit more maturity, but I think Mac Wilson has some upside too. I'm not ready to bail on Mac. Just everybody, I'm not ready to bail on Mac Wilson. I think he can do it. He's got to work a little harder. With Kevin Stefanski, Coach of the Year, and his analytics approach, will give us a top 5 team within 2 years. Max, I agree, man. Like, I wasn't buying it at first, and then, man, what he did this year. I mean, it couldn't have done much better job. Which rookies from last year do you think will step up this coming year? Delpit and Greedy, if healthy, will improve our back end immediately. The rookies. Yeah, I mean, well, let's start off with Greedy. I really don't think Greedy's coming back, guys. I don't think he's gonna play football ever again. When you have nerve damage and you can't feel an arm, how do you play a position where you got to jump up and use both arms to knock balls out of the way if you can't feel your arm? Greedy's probably done, guys. And then Grant Delpit, Achilles. We'll see. We shall see. He's got a couple more months now to rehab and get ready for it. But, I mean, we haven't seen any videos. We haven't seen anything. And that's it. What happened to Richard Sherman? That came and went. The Richard Sherman stuff, he ain't coming. And we don't need him. He's expensive. He's old. He's not as good. And he's not even close to the guy he was in Seattle. He gets burned. And on top of that, he lied about Baker Mayfield and didn't apologize when it came back that he was found to be lying about him. It's a bad move. Kevin's a scheming football genius, Max says. Still not quite sold on Mac, but Taki Taki has high motor and showed out a bit this year. Yeah, I think Taki Taki could be a leader too. I think he's coming into his leadership. Sometimes with leadership, it takes some time if you're the type of leader that likes to lead by what you do, not by what you say. Taki could be that kind of guy. Pitt has to cut to be running for JJ. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be in the running for JJ though. JJ wants to go to a contender, but he wants to get paid. And if I'm JJ, why not play 2 years with the Browns and then go play in Pittsburgh with your brothers when it's like all really over? Scheme is fire. No Greedy. I don't think Greedy's ever coming back. I really don't. All right. I think Greedy needs to hit the weight room. Dude looks $150. So yeah, that too. He's not big. Afraid you're right. Scared. You're right on Greedy. Wow, I don't realize it was still that bad. It's bad. Didn't know serious was for Greedy. Yeah, I mean, it's bad. And if you look at pictures, it's not. I mean, he looks tiny. Sherman may be disruptive to our team chemistry. Agreed. I don't want anything to do with Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman 5 years ago, absolutely, all day. Richard Sherman now, no thank you, not at all. Go run your fan-controlled football or whatever you're doing, Richard. I don't want you in Cleveland. A team that he was shitting on before. You think he wants to come to Cleveland and get paid, and then no, I don't think so. Who do you want to try to steal from the Saints? To be honest, I don't know much about the Saints. I don't watch NFC football really all that often, so I don't know much about the Saints. I'd like to have Michael Thomas. Do you believe we draft and sign the perfect defense this season? It will start with JJ. If we sign JJ, then the draft is going to be less imperative that we hit a home run in the draft, right? We'll still have to draft players intelligently, but we won't have to hit that grand slam with players in the draft because JJ instantly gives us an upgrade in that position, and he creates such a matchup problem that I don't know. I mean, I don't know how teams are going to really scheme against it. They're just going to have to pray for injury or pray that Miles can't breathe, right? Um, and then you got the Ravens, right? The Ravens are with Lamar Jackson and that running game. The Ravens are never going to win less than 9 games. They're always going to be a 9+ game winning team, and probably even more than that. And they're probably going to be playoff contending team for a very long time. The only way that it doesn't happen is if Lamar gets injured, which he did in the playoffs. He got a head injury in the playoffs, and or if he gets slowed down some other way. But the Ravens are going to be a team we're going to have to contend with for a while. And who knows with Joe Burrow too. I mean, Joe Burrow, even if he comes back and he's not as athletic as he was, I mean, you look at a guy like Tom Brady. Tom Brady can't run for anything either, right? But he's really good, and I think that's where Joe Burrow would thrive. Imagine if Joe Burrow went to a team like, I don't know, like just like a good team at all, like the Saints. If Joe Burrow's on the Saints, that'd be insane. Offseason's gonna be exciting. I agree. Offseason is gonna be pretty cool. All great teams start with great defense, no matter what era. Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. Like if we can get a couple players that can be impact players for us. Wow. I mean, you're talking about taking a explosive offense and then also a defense that, can actually get us the ball back and not give up like, third down conversions that are 60-70% some games. Yeah, the Ravens do beat up on teams in the regular season because they're so different, right? So if you're a team and you're scheming against and practicing against, quarterbacks that are just standard pro style quarterbacks, and when you have a guy like Lamar Jackson, who's the best athlete arguably on the field at any given time, it's almost impossible to shift your entire makeup of your team to be able to beat that. But in the playoffs, when you've got extra time, when you've got your entire organization focused on one guy and how to beat that one guy, and because all the chips fall to that, that's why Lamar is getting beat in the playoffs. We have the offense. We need Bulls and Bears to stop the run and overwhelm the quarterback. I agree, Max. Legendary football coach Paul Bear Bryant famously said, "Offense sells tickets, defense wins championships." Defense certainly can win championships, but it's really overlooked because the points are scored typically by the offense. But yeah, defense is critically important. And if we could have stopped Chad Henne and then we could have moved the ball, we could have been in the AFC Championship game. He's already being exposed. I agree. I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to be the guy in the NFL. And here's the thing. If you go and you listen to Ravens fans, they're all asking the same questions. And yeah, you've got some Ravens fans that are on board, but a lot of Ravens fans are going, okay, well, we've had this experiment for a couple years now and we haven't won anything with him. So now what? Right? Wasn't Tom Brady. It was the Bucs defense. Bucs defense was pretty good, but I mean, they were a 10-6 team. They were a wild card team. They weren't, I wouldn't say they were a dominant defense, but they were pretty darn good. And they were able to shut down Travis Kelce, put pressure on Pat Mahomes, shut down Travis Kelce, and really also by doing so, you really shut down Tyreek Hill. They did their job on Tampa. I'm in late. Oh, Bonzo, he was working late today, and I don't think he was. It was going to be tough for him to join. I sent him the link. He may be joining here in a little bit, but yeah, he couldn't join today just because he was working a little bit more, working overtime, I think. He's not even poor man's version of Pat Mahomes, more like a homeless man's version. It's funny. Lamar Jackson is bound to get hurt anyway. That's what I keep saying. I'm like, Lamar Jackson, you can't be a running quarterback in the NFL and never get hurt. Because if it's not your knees, if it's not something like that, it's your head. You're going to get hit. And then in the playoffs, when they hit him, and they didn't even hit him that hard. He like fell backwards remember in the end zone, fell backwards, and he was kind of woke up. He stood up and was like, I mean, that's all it takes. Bucks defensive line, nasty yo. Yeah, and they have some pretty good linebackers too. Just goes to show your defensive line and linebackers can do pretty amazing things. You don't have to have the greatest secondary. You just have to have decent secondary. Oh man. So yeah. So a couple other updates. Gonna be talking a little bit more with Homage. We're trying to set up a meeting to do some other cool promotions with Homage this year. So buckle up for that. I'm pretty sure Sabo Apparel is going to be back in. They're going to be back on board with us next season. I'm going to try and get some Victory Monday mugs for free out of Cleveland Clothing Co. And also might reach out to GV Art as well to see if we can get something out of them to try to give away, obviously, to all you wonderful people. So we've got some cool stuff coming that way. I want to know what the new Browns jacket is going to be this year. If they're going to go back to the brown starter jacket, if they're going to go stay with this orange one that I don't think as many people liked, but that would be cool if we could get give away a jacket. My dad's moving up. He's actually moving today, so he couldn't join. So he's in transit moving. So that's going to be pretty cool. So he'll be up this way for the season. We'll be able to watch all the games next year, which is going to be awesome. And Mike is going to be with us more and more. I keep telling Mike, I was like, Mike, I love having you on the show, man. I love these Wednesday shows and having him pre and post game. Although he has his ritual pre and post game, plus he's going to be at a lot of the games, so he might be just like we might call him up and bring him in for the pregame show if he's tailgating with some of the people. So got some fun stuff planned next year. I'm gonna try and make it up to Cleveland and try to go to a game or two this year, but it might be tough for me to then still be doing show. I'll have to work out the logistics of the show because I like going live right after the game. I don't like waiting, and if you go to the game, then that kind of makes it tough, right? So we'll have to figure that out. But I'm sure you guys will all stick with me if I go to the game and then we go back to the hotel and we do the post game show. We just might not have hundreds of people joining. Maybe, I don't know. You hear they're gonna have old school alternative uniform this year. I don't know. I mean, how? I wouldn't be surprised if we do an orange at some point because we can sell them. We had the ugly orange jerseys we had. We had orange jerseys before the ugly ones. So I like orange jerseys. I think they're cool. I think he's going to be MVP talks. Baker Mayfield? Could be. He's got to throw over 30. Baker's got to throw 40 touchdowns to be, you got to throw 40 to be considered a MVP. Let us know when you're coming. I will, Greg. I will, definitely, dude. Are you aware the Avengers and Captain America directors Russo brothers are huge Browns fans and listen to this show most weeks? Yeah, I don't think they do. But I am aware that the Russo brothers are big Browns fans. Yep. I say we trade Odell now. I don't think so. I think we hold on to Matt. I think we hold on to Odell. I think if he comes in line and becomes that productive guy, there's going to be nothing better than winning with Odell Beckham. He will be loving life if we win. Live stream from the stadium after the game, like Beto. Yeah, it would be cool, but I don't know how good the internet is. And maybe if we got like an RV and we could go to like a command center after it, that'd be awesome. No. We keep Odell. Yep, I agree. Happy birthday to Jim Brown. Yes, happy birthday, Jim Brown. Amazing football player. Way ahead of his time. Some questionable things in his private life, but on the football field, I mean, amazing player. Peyton won MVP with 27 touchdowns, right? Did he? Did he win league MVP with 27 touchdowns? That's odd if that happened. Originally, I thought that, but I was looking at the metrics. He's too much money for what he does. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what they do with Odell. I mean, he's got a lot to prove, and I don't think the Browns mind paying him the money. Really don't. I mean, I don't think the Browns mind paying him the money as long as he's got a good, positive attitude and spirit. And if we win 12 games a year, Odell Beckham's going to be real happy. So we're fine. I think Baker and Odell would have clicked in Kevin's offense. It was clicking. Maybe. Well, it's yet to see, right? But if that Dallas game was pretty wild. I mean, Odell Beckham won us that game from, his touchdowns, the 2 that he caught, the 1 that he ran for. Odell Beckham won us that game. And without that game, we didn't make the playoffs. So keep that in mind. There weren't many other players on the Browns that could have done what Odell Beckham did in that game. Look at the no-name college talent. I don't know what that means, Matt. Hearing that J.J. Watt's most important consideration are 1, quarterback, okay, 2, supporting personnel, 3, money. I think we check off on all those. But there's other teams he could go to, right, guys? So I know we're all tunnel vision. This could be smoke screen to get him more money from Pittsburgh or something. Anyone have a problem if the same team comes back in September? Yeah, we have holes. I don't think with this the schedule that we have, we'd win 11 games with the same team. If it comes down to Jarvis or Odell, there's no way I'm keeping Odell. Yeah, I probably have to agree. Especially means losing 1 to improve the defense. Hello, JJ, and now Von Miller. Yeah. We were talking about Von Miller earlier. I'm not as high on Von Miller. I'm not really that high on JJ, to be honest. A 32-year-old defensive end, but I do agree he will be better than what we currently have. If we had a speedster, insert his name. I met Jim Brown off Central Park in 2001. He was biking and trying to cross the street. I was wearing a Leroy Horde jersey, and he yelled at me that it wasn't his. That's funny. My dad just recently played golf with Leroy Horde, and he's going to be playing golf with him again here in the next couple of weeks. He says he's a nice guy. DPJ. Oh, DPJ. Yeah. I don't think DPJ is anywhere close to as talented as OBJ, but it's yet to be seen. DPJ's got he hasn't hit his ceiling yet. Exactly, DPJ, yeah. All right, guys. Hey, look, appreciate you guys coming in. Mike's not here, so I don't want to go too long. Plus, my kids are about to go to bed. I wanted to come on and do the Wednesday show. We're not doing the Wednesday. We are going to do Wednesday shows. Don't get me wrong, but I had a little bit to talk about with the JJ Watt stuff. Not a whole heck of a lot else going on right now, so I don't want to go too long tonight. But I want to say thank you guys for all being here. Max and Matt and Greg, and who else do we have in here? Ryan was here. Mike, Gutta, Derek. Johnny Blaze was in the house. Ray. Whole bunch of homies were here today. Appreciate all you guys for being here. We're going to make this a short Wednesday show because these Wednesday shows, especially when there's not a whole lot to talk about, there's not a whole lot to do. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for joining me today and hanging out for a little bit. We will catch you next Wednesday, same time, 7 p.m. with Bonzo and or my dad. And we'll see you then. Appreciate you. Go Browns.